Are you a trustee in the COVID concentration camp? Okay, where does this come from? Okay, well, in the concentration camps in Germany and the countries they invaded, where they built death camps, um, people who were inmates of the concentration camp, um, they could agree to work for the Nazis. And you might get better food, um, better privileges, and most of all, you might stay alive. So, what does it mean? It means you're going to rat out the other people. You're going to be a spy for the Nazis inside the concentration camp. You're going to be a Nazi. So that's basically your choice if you're in a 1942 concentration camp. You can live in the concentration camp, or you can try to, because there's no guarantees, if you're a regular inmate, that you're not going to be put to death tomorrow. But, if you're a trustee, maybe you're going to have a bit more success living. So it's life and death, I guess. It's life and death, and certain individuals decided that they preferred living as a Nazi to dying. So what's that got to do with, this is always, people say it's too extreme to go to Nazi. I don't think so. I don't think so, because in today's concentration camp on planet Earth, well, what did this start in March? Now it's November, and I just heard Lester Holt declare that this is still full-blown epidemic. So are you going to go with what Lester Holt tells you? What your local health unit tells you? Those are the Nazis. Who are there's really no free people. It's basically, are you going to go along and rat out those people who aren't following proper protocols? If you're a Nazi, you will. Some people say, you don't understand. There's people with immune system problems. I understand fully. I don't want to get too mixed up with what exactly is going on. I simply want to tell you that the purpose of life is to live, and it's not to be encaged. It is to live. And on planet Earth, I don't call these intense calls for more lockdowns, I don't call that living. I call that Nazi concentration camp. Let's face it, everyone on planet Earth has got a due date. And, if you're trying to delay the inevitable, dropping dead, by not living, is that a fair trade? I know, it's like, either way I'm fucked. I can't get away from my death date. But, I don't want my early death date by COVID-19. So, how many years of COVID-19 panic do you want to live with? Somebody just told me today, the vaccine is right around the corner. And we had a long discussion about how good vaccines are when it comes to things like the flu. One person swears that the flu vaccine works every year. Another person says as soon as I get injected by the flu vaccine, I get the flu. Another person says, some years I got the flu vaccine and a few years I didn't. And generally speaking, I don't think the flu vaccine works for me overall. For me. But this is where we're stuck. We're stuck because we can keep kicking this can down the road. More and more lockdowns, more and more lockdowns, more and more lack of freedoms that we had before the Rona. And so we can live longer. But, live longer for what? It's just that, this is like really ridiculous because we keep waiting for, this vaccine. In 1984, when HIV was announced on NBC News, they were working diligently to come up with a vaccine for it. And, 36 years later, there's no vaccine for the HIV, and there's been all kinds of announcements. So many announcements over the years that we got it. It's right around the corner. It's like we're going to have announcement. Yeah. What's the truth? You are never going to really understand the truth because you don't understand the science. Who understands the science? Nobody really understands the science, but the people who are telling you that you can't live a normal human life, that's what they're paid to do. They're paid to minimize risk. And minimizing risk means keeping you at home all the time. Now, let's say 40% of the population is really, really involved with we need masks, we need vaccines, we need social distancing, we need to stay at home. What if there was another 40% that said we want freedom? We've had enough lockdowns. The lockdowns clearly didn't work, did they? I mean, if they're announcing more cases, clearly the lockdowns from the spring and the summer didn't eradicate the virus. And flattening the curve, I don't know nothing about these kind of cuckoo things. All I know is that there's more calls for more lockdowns, which makes me think again and again, I feel like I'm in a concentration camp. I feel like the health unit are Nazis. And I feel like the 40% that are all about masks and social distancing are trustees in this concentration camp, and they want it to stay a concentration camp. And as for the other percentage, I don't know what they are. Maybe they're sitting on the fence kind of people. I don't want the concentration camp. I don't want the Rona. It's simply another statement that another day has gone by. And we are not living normally. And there's no sign of our normal. It's all Fauci's new normal. I'm sorry. I am not going to go with, I don't care. Seriously. If I had cancer and I was given 3 weeks to live, I would want to go live those 3 weeks. I don't want to spend 3 weeks in the hospital and then that's it. I want to live to the max every day. And I don't want 40% of the population ganging up on me and telling me, sorry, another day went past today. It never ends, does it? The 40% are never going to be satisfied. Never, never, never satisfied. Because they're all closet Nazis. And they all have some dream somehow that, another day in the Nazi concentration camp is one for me. But, I'm in the other camp, and I say another day in the Nazi concentration camp was taken away from me. A day that I could have had to enjoy doing things that humans have always enjoyed, but I can't. I mean, I believe it. I believe it that 6 months from now, it's going to be me still talking to this phone saying, Another 6 months have gone by. Still got the Rona. Still got lockdowns. I still feel like I'm in a concentration camp. And, is it going to be 5 years from now? Oh, surely we'll have a vaccine by now. 5 years later, they'll have said, sorry, I gave you HIV. There is no vaccine. Why? Is it the science is too hard? No. Why do we know that? Because they talk about the same things that can be used to cure HIV. The CRISPR. That's being talked about for vaccines for the Rona. But this CRISPR, it was been a long time ago talked about using CRISPR for HIV. Never saw it. Why? It's simply because I don't know why. It's way more profitable to sell a monthly dose of pills to people who have it and people who are afraid of getting it. Billions and billions of dollars are made by drug companies. And who's making all the money in the time of the Rona? It's the drug companies, because they're the ones that are manufacturing all these test kits. And they're getting all this government money to develop vaccines. These are private companies. Live from inside the Rona concentration camp. I'm pissed off.